So let us start with today's episode of Animal Tissue Part 2. Now let us start with today's lesson. So what are the learning objectives of today's lesson? So at the end of today's lesson, we will be discussing about what is muscular tissue. Now under muscular tissue, I have divided them into three parts, that is the striated muscles, the unstriated muscles and the cardiac muscles. Next to which comes the connective tissue. Now in connective tissue, we will have the supportive connective tissue, that is cartilage and bone. Next comes the fluid connective tissue. So whatever is a fluid in the form of a fluid and connecting different parts of a body are blood and lymph. Now the next part is the connective tissue proper. And last part of the tissue system, we will consider this as the nervous tissue. Now let us move on with these types of tissues in details. Muscular tissue. Now our body is made up of nerve and muscles, we all know. So what is a muscle tissue? It consists of what? It is consisting of long narrow type of cells and muscle fibers. So this tissue is made up of long and narrow cells and muscle fibers. Now when you look at this diagram, you can see that these are long and narrow cells, and these are actually these are called the muscle fibers. Okay, so long and narrow cells which are forming the muscle fibers. Now the adjacent muscle fibers are held together by connective tissue. So one tissue with the other, they are held together by connective tissue. Now muscle fibers, they at times they contract and at times they relax. So this relaxation and contraction brings about the movement in the body. So how the movement happens in the body? That is through the contraction and relaxation of the muscles. So this muscle contraction and relaxation actually it brings the movement in the human body. So this is specifically we are discussing about the muscular tissue. Now let us move on to the next one. Here we see about the striated muscles. So striated muscles in first muscular tissue, I have told you that the first type of muscular tissue is the striated muscle. So when it comes to striated muscle, they are all actually the voluntary muscles. Voluntary muscles means which are moving under our own will. So if we want to move those muscles, they will move. Otherwise, they'll not move. So these are all voluntary muscles. So the muscles of this striated muscles are all voluntary muscles. So these are also called skeletal muscles. So striated muscles are also called skeletal muscles. They are attached mainly to the bones of the body and movement is always under our own will. So that is the voluntary muscle they are called. Now that is body wall, the arms, the tongue, the face, the neck. So these all are voluntary muscles and they are striated muscles. Just learn these examples or just try to recall whenever you want to write the examples of striated muscles, that these muscles are always moving under our own will. If we want only, we'll move our arms. If we want only, we'll move our tongue, face, neck and all. So they'll not move automatically. Like if you are sitting straight in a straight posture, automatically your hands, legs, neck, tongue will not start moving. So if you wish, if your brain wants to move each and every part like this, they will move. So they are all under the voluntary muscle category. Now collectively these muscles, they constitute 50% of our body weight. So whatever is our body, like if my body weight is 50 kg, so 25 kg will be this all skeletal muscles or this striated muscles or voluntary muscles. Now they are long, narrow, cylindrical, unbranched fibers. Now you can see here, they are long, narrow, cylindrical and they are mostly unbranched and with blunt ends. The ends are always blunt. Now cytoplasm contains myofibrils. Now there are intercalated discs here. There are dark bands. You can see the dark bands here. Nucleus is present here. And there are alternate striations also. You can see light and dark striations. So if you zoom into the picture, you can see there are light and dark bands. Alternating light and dark bands and the striations, and each muscles has nuclei. So they are having alternative striations, light and dark bands, striations, and each muscle fiber is having a nuclei. And just remember in your mind that these muscle fibers, they are unbranched mostly. They are cylindrical in nature and they are having blunt ends. Is it clear to all? If you are having any queries and doubts, children, please do write in my comment box. Otherwise, I am unable to know what are your doubts or queries, so that I can come up to you with the answers in the next episodes. Now here comes the next part of the muscular tissue, that is the unstriated muscle. So what are these unstriated muscles? These unstriated muscles are mainly the involuntary muscles, that is these muscles are not under our control, they are moving under their own control. Okay, so involuntary muscles. So involuntary muscles, they are moving under their own will, and these are all unstriated muscles, like the smooth muscles, and they lack the transverse striations or bands. So in the previous one, in the skeletal muscles, they are having the light and deep band, they are having the transverse striations. Now movement is actually, that is not under our will, and they are called involuntary muscles. Now muscle cells are spindle shaped and are arranged in bundles. Okay, so they are spindle, you can see that the shape of the muscle cells is spindles, and they are all arranged in bundles. You can see a group of muscles, just follow the diagram or the pointer where I am pointing. They are all spindle cells, spindle shaped muscle cells. They are having a nucleus almost at the center. Myofibrils, they do not show light and dark bands. In the previous skeletal muscle, just remember, so these are the if you want to write differences between unstriated and striated muscle, you can take these points. So in the previous one, we have discussed that they are showing, myofibrils are showing light and dark bands, but in this one, myofibrils in the cytoplasm, they do not show light and dark bands. They are all spindle shaped, they were all elongated shaped, and here each muscle cell is having one nucleus. Okay, so you can find out the difference between the skeletal muscle or the striated muscle and the non-striated muscle, and they are mainly present in the dermis of the skin, the blood vessels, the iris of the eyes, and the urinary bladder. So they are all involuntary muscles. You can't control the contraction and relaxation of your urinary bladder. So whenever you feel an urge to expel out the urine, you need to expel. So that is the contraction and relaxation what is happening in the urinary bladder. So these are all not under our control. So the blood vessels, the contraction and relaxation of the blood vessels is also not under our control. So striated muscle is always voluntary muscle, and unstriated muscle is always involuntary muscle. So till this, it should be clear to you all, right? Now next one comes the cardiac muscle. So exclusively it is present in the heart, as the name suggests. We all know that this is present in the heart only. It is an involuntary muscle, as we know, and it works rhythmically and tirelessly. So if one sudden fine day, if you get up and your heart is saying that I am too tired to go out for work or work today, it can't happen, right? The heart needs to work rhythmically. So from before the birth in your mother's womb, it starts beating, and till the day you die, it starts contracting and relaxing endlessly. So it's starting from the early embryonic stage till death. This involuntary muscle keeps on contracting and relaxing, contracting and relaxing. So this is an unending process. Now this is, you can see the diagram here, this is cylindrical, this is striated and short. Okay, cardiac muscles are always branched. You can see they are nicely branched here. They are having nucleus, and muscle filaments are they are connected with the dark junctions. See, in the junctions there are dark shades, so they are connected in dark junctions called the intercalated discs. So these junctions are called intercalated discs. These junctions are called intercalated discs. Is it clear? So these are not, they are always branched, they are striated, short, and they rhythmically and tirelessly keep on contracting, and they are called intercalated. They are having connected with dark junctions called the intercalated disc. Now let us move on to the next one. Now next comes the connective tissue. Now what is a connective tissue? As the name suggests, we can say that connective tissue is a tissue which is connecting, a supporting and a binding tissue. So it is distributed throughout the body in different forms, and it takes about 30% of the body's weight. So first one, we have told that the muscular tissue, in that muscular tissue, the striated muscle, it takes 50% of the body's weight. Here the connective tissue, which is the supporting and binding tissue, it is distributed throughout the body, and it is taking 30% of the body weight. Now it is forming a sheath around the organs. Okay, it is like a layer, like a sheath around the organs. And connective tissue has abundance of intercellular spaces. So what is intercellular space? The space in between the cells is the intercellular space. Now connective tissue cells and connective tissue fibers and matrix, they are present in abundance in connective tissue. These cells are quite loosely packed. Now when we refer to the diagram in the next slide, you will get the clear idea that how they are having more intercellular spaces, they are having tissue cells, connective tissue fibers, and they are loosely packed. And actually it is non-living and it is acting as a packing tissue. So it is acting actually as a packing tissue, and it is what we can say that it is a non-living thing. Now, there are again three types of connective tissue. Connective tissue proper, the supportive connective tissue in which the bone and cartilage lies, and last but not the least is the fluid connective tissue, that is the blood, which is connecting throughout the body and the lymph. So, connective tissue proper, supportive connective tissue, and the fluid connective tissue, that is the blood and the lymph. Now, what is connective tissue proper? It is mainly helping in packing and binding the organs, and it is of again three types. So just when you are studying, just remember the types of all types are having subtypes and all. So you need to recall, just make a tree diagram kind of thing. So now if you are starting with tissue, you can write animal tissues, four types: epithelial, muscular, connective, nervous tissue. Then you come down, muscular tissue you can write in four. So like that you just make a tree diagram. So if possible I'll make here and also show you once. Then it will be easier for you to recall and remember the types and subtypes of each tissue. Now connective tissue proper, it is having again three types: areolar connective tissue, fibrous connective tissue, and adipose tissue. Areolar connective tissue. Now this is most widely distributed connective tissue beneath the epidermis of the skin. So epidermis means the outer covering of the skin. Beneath that only we are having this type of connective tissue. Now what is the function of this? We have told that this connective tissue's function is binding and packing. That is combining both the tissues together. So it binds the skin with the muscles and attaches the blood vessels as well as the nerves to the surrounding. So what is it doing? It is binding the skin with the muscles and it is attaching the blood vessels and the nerves to the surrounding part. Now it is making now we all know that our skin is having elasticity, or it is having a property which makes it elastic. So it helps in the skin to make elastic, withstand the stretching and relaxing. So if a person has become too fat, so the skin stretches that far only how much the person is becoming fat, and then again it becomes too thin, it also shrinks. So that stretching and squeezing property is there, which is due to this areolar connective tissue, which makes the skin so elastic. Next comes the fibrous connective tissue. So in fibrous connective tissue, we can say that fibrous connective tissue, it mainly consists of the tendons and the ligaments. Okay, so it is consisting of the tendons and the ligaments, and the tendons are tough and they are elastic in nature. They are tough and they are elastic, and their matrix contains of unbranched white collagen fibers. Okay, they are containing of unbranched white collagen fibers. So just when you are going through this diagram of this fibrous connective tissue, and if you are going through these all important points, you just learn and recall these points, then only you will understand this full tissue system. So I have written in form of notes only. They connect the muscles with bones, and ligaments are also elastic, and due to the presence of yellow elastic fibers in the matrix which connect one bone to another. So what is this ligaments and tendons doing? They are connecting one bone to the other. So the folding of the bone, the movements of the bones is due to this presence of tendons and ligaments. It is making it flexible for this stretching and the folding of the bones, because it is connecting one bone to another. And they are elastic due to the presence of this yellow elastic fibers in the matrix. So this is the fibrous connective tissue. Is it clear? So this is the fibrous connective tissue. Let us see next what we are having. Now after that we are starting with the supportive connective tissue. So in this, under this category, we will have the cartilage and the bone. So it is forming the internal supportive framework of the body. What this supportive connective tissue, as the name suggests, that is, it is supporting the internal supportive framework of the body. Now cartilage is a non-porous tissue. So what is cartilage? It is a tissue which is non-porous and it consists of the matrix, and it is having no nerves, and it is having neither nerves nor blood vessels are present in this. So no nerves or blood vessels are present. Now cartilage cells, they are called chondrocytes. Okay, you can see that chondroblasts in lacunae. So these cartilage cells, they are called chondrocytes and are present in the fluid filled spaces of lacunae. So this is the chondroblast cells in the lacunae. So it is placed here in the fluid filled spaces called the lacunae. Is it clear? It is present in the fluid filled spaces called the lacunae. Now next comes the semi-transparent and elastic. They are mostly, another property of these tissues are they are semi-transparent and elastic in nature. So in the previous one we have told that the tendons as well as the ligaments, they are also having the elasticity property, whereas this cartilage is also having the elasticity property. Now they are present in the larynx, they are present in the trachea, at the end of the bones, and the nasal septum in between the ribs and the sternum. So these are the main parts where this cartilage and bone are present. So bone, they are all present throughout the body. We know they are forming the internal supporting framework of the body, whereas cartilage, they are mainly present in the larynx, trachea, end of the bones, that is to make it flexible and to join to another bone for support. They are present in the nasal septum and between the ribs and the sternum. So just learn these things, where they are located, where is the location, what is the function, and what are the different properties of each type of connective tissue. That is, some are having the nerve cells and blood vessels, whereas others are having no blood vessels or nerve cells. So in this supportive connective tissue, no cartilage and bone, you can say that there is no nerves or blood vessels. Now here, the previous slide we have told, in supportive connective tissue we have discussed about the cartilage. Now here we are discussing about the bone. That is, bone is what? It is a rigid, hard, porous tissue. So we have told that cartilage was not at all porous, but bone is a porous tissue. Bone cells are called osteocytes. Now you refer to this diagram here. Bone cells are called osteocytes, and you can see this diagram that bone is a porous tissue. It is having pores in it, and it is the bone cells are called osteocytes. Okay, now they are mostly star shaped, and cell is enclosed in a very small cavity called the lacunae. So it is enclosed in a very small cavity called the lacunae, and it has a good supply of blood vessels. In the cartilage, you just try to recall the previous slide. We have told that there are no blood vessels, no nerves, but bone has a good supply of blood vessels, nerves, and it consists of inorganic salts living in the cells. So here only you can differentiate. Now from the previous slide and this slide, you can differentiate that these are having blood vessels, nerves, and consists of inorganic salts and living cells. Now next one, we come to the fluid connective tissue. That when we come to fluid connective tissue, the main two things in our body are blood and lymph. So blood consists of the blood corpuscles, like, which is suspended in the blood plasma. Now plasma is a straw colored fluid. You all know that composition of blood and all. In the previous classes, smaller classes, you have already studied. Now you will just go through it as a fluid connective tissue like the blood and the lymph. So the plasma is a straw colored fluid which contains mostly 85 to 90% water and 5 to 10% of cellular elements, that is red blood cells and white blood cells. So refer to this diagram for the red blood cells, whereas the white blood cells. So it is the formed elements of the blood which consist of the red blood cells. These are the platelets, and these are white blood cells, that is monocyte, lymphocytes, eosinophil, basophil, and neutrophil. Now lymph, it is a transparent light yellow colored fluid. Now chemically similar to blood plasma, except that it contains very little protein and it does not contain RBC. So lymph, it is chemically similar to blood plasma, but it does not contain RBC, and it contains WBC and WBC, it is also called the leukocytes, okay, the white blood cells part. Now these are all present in the intercellular spaces called the tissue fluid, okay, they are all present in the intercellular spaces called the tissue fluid. Now the blood consists of the blood corpuscles. They are suspended in blood plasma. Plasma, I have already told, 85 to 90% water and 5 to 10% of cellular elements. And here you can just follow the diagram for the formed elements, white blood cells, platelets and all. Now chemically similar to blood plasma, we can say that it is having less proteins and it does not contain RBC. And white blood cells are present in there and present in the intercellular spaces called the tissue fluid. So this is all about this connective tissue part. Now we will move on to the nervous tissue, that is the last part. Already it is a huge episode of animal tissue part 2 because I wanted to break it into another part, but it will again be another simple video. So let it complete today only. Now in last part, we are here with the nervous tissue. It consists of nerve cells or neurons. Now, as the name suggests, we know that nervous tissue means it is always the nerve cells or neurons. A bundle of nerve cell forms the nerves. Now, neuron is the structural and functional unit of nervous system. The cell body or cyton, axon, dendron and dendrite. So, this is the structure of a typical neuron. So, when we are studying the nervous system in full, we will be studying this details, all the parts and all in full. So, now you know, just to know this typical structure of a typical neuron, you have studied in previous classes as well. So dendrites, nucleus over here, this is the cell body, this is the axon, and these are their Schwann cells are there. This is the node of Ranvier. These are all axon terminals and this is the myelin sheath. So this is the nervous tissue. Now this is all in today's episode of Animal Tissue Part 2. It was a huge lesson, huge video with so many parts, subparts and all. Just try to go through it, understand it, and in your book, in your copy where you are practicing biology, just make a tree diagram so that you can make the types of tissues, their subtypes and their subtypes with their example and location. So this is your homework for today. Just make a tree diagram. I have given the details of each and every tissue structure with their location as well as function. So you just place it in the tree diagram. You just form that parts, subparts and all. Write the functions, write the location where they're located, and try to sort out the differences between each types of tissues, their subparts and all, so that you can clearly visualize the types of tissues. Whenever you get the answer, get the questions, it will be very much easier for you to answer each and every part of the question. If you are getting a diagram also, if they are giving a pictorial representation also, from that also, and as well as you are getting in ICSE, so it will be easier for you to write the answers. So as of now, today it's completed. So next we are bringing the whatever the next lesson is there, we are coming up with the next videos. So thank you.